What do government workers that most of the rest of us don't? A taxpayer-supported pension plan. Envious yet? Well, what if we tell you that some of those pensioners also get a government paycheck? If you think that sounds like the kind of spending that can lead to service cuts and tax increases, you're right. But as Not on Your Side investigator Tammy Vo found, not only are pensions a high priority for state spending, they are the top priority.
Back and forth, blink and you'll miss it. Retirement for these guys is an intense game of ping pong at Armory Park. But for Jerry Anderson, retirement didn't come easy.
I worked long hours.
Michael Blackwell, not quite ready to retire. He's watching his 401k.
Hopefully I'm smart enough that I'll have a nest egg, something to fall back on, but my trust is not in that. My trust is in, I'm going to say, a higher power.
But not everyone needs a higher power when it comes to retirement. Arizona government workers have you, the taxpayer.
It's a pretty sweet retirement system.
It's very sweet.
Byron Schlomock is the chief economist at the Goldwater Institute, a nonprofit out of Phoenix. He wrote this detailed report about Arizona's pension system, which he calls a ticking time bomb.
How healthy is Arizona's pension system?
It's ill.
If you're not getting a public pension, you're probably paying for someone else's. Here's how they work. Full-time government workers are entitled to a pension. Some already in the system can retire after 20 years, and if they're signed up for the DROP program, can even cash in on a lump sum payment of around $260,000 plus their pension. Because they can retire so early, many look for another government job, making them eligible for a second government pension. For example, Richard Miranda used to be Tucson's police chief. He retired and, according to city records, now gets a state pension of around $135,000 a year for the rest of his life. Now he's Tucson's assistant city manager and makes around $167K a year, bringing in a total of more than $302,000 a year. If he stays there for another 2.5 years, he'll get a second $22,000 pension. Terry Rosema recently retired from Tucson Police. He's 47 years old. Records show he'll get $81,000 in pension benefits for the rest of his life. Now he's Miranda's police chief and makes around $127,000 a year, bringing in a total of around $208,000. He's also now part of another state retirement system that will pay him another pension for the rest of his life if he stays there for another 15 years. There are thousands of examples of double dippers, people in the military, educators, and others who collect more than one paycheck at a time from the government. Is that wrong?
Where do you stand on that issue?
You know, I can't say that because I think you need to get the best person. The county is regularly hiring people from the city.
Tucson Mayor Jonathan Rothschild says government has to offer competitive benefit packages to attract the best person for the job. And if the best person is getting a pension check, he sees nothing wrong with that.
So long as the person is working and doing a job, they should, and they're the most qualified, they should get the benefits and the paycheck.
Traditionally, public workers have been paid less than private workers, and pensions were a way to make up for that. But take a look at some numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In Arizona, on average, city workers make around $41,000 a year, private around $42,000 a year, and state workers making the most at nearly $45,000 a year.
How is this affecting Arizona's budget? Schlomock says it's straining the system. He points to Arizona's Constitution, which says taxpayers must fund public pensions above anything else. So when the state is out of money, it cuts first from education, transplant patients, Medicaid, kids care, not pensions.
Yeah, it's all taxpayer. I mean, if you're talking about involving any level of government, taxpayers are on the hook for all of it.
In the wake of reforms passed last year, future workers will have to contribute a little more and retire a little later. But that does not address current workers. Some say the reforms are not enough and that abuses will creep back in, and points to cases like that of David Boggs. There's a reason why he has a smile on his face. After a whopping 6 years on the job, He just retired as chief of Valley Metro in Phoenix. Despite his short tenure, the state says his pension will pay him $72,000 a year. How did that happen? A spokesperson confirmed to 9 on Your Side that when Maricopa County hired him, it agreed to pay $650,000 so that he could buy into the pension plan, courtesy of, you guessed it, the taxpayers.
If most taxpayers knew what was going on and realized that somebody could retire with full benefits at 51, I believe most people would say, no, I don't think that's right. Nobody else gets to do that.
Tammy Vo, KGUN-9 on Your Side.
Pension payments come from a mixture of worker and taxpayer contributions. A firefighters union told us retirees have earned that pension check whether they go back to work or not. But a correctional officers union told us it favors freezing pension payments until double dippers leave the workforce. Now, as for Schlomock, he points out that one thing working against reform is the fact that lawmakers get the same benefit. And he says their pension system is the worst shape of all.